Alright guys, RoKage here and welcome back to the brand new video. Here we are, solo leveling Arise will be the topic. And on today's video, I want to do an updated version of the best song build. More precisely, I want to talk about the things you should definitely probably stop doing by now and focus on correct stats and everything else. Plus, I will show you the best artifacts and the best substats. And overall, we'll talk about for every hunter in the game, but mainly Sung. A lot of knowledge that I will talk about now about Sung you can apply to any hunter in the game. So if I go here at Sung, you can clearly see I don't have any more agility. I'm just going for the perception and strength. This is something that I said will happen relatively fast after you start playing the game. It just depends how much do you know, how much things did you test it out, maybe learn from other YouTubers, etc. But here it is. If I go here in the sign points, definitely I completely stopped doing critical hit rate and critical hit damage, giving the points to that. I restore it, it is now at 0. I mean, we have here the original 73, but I literally didn't assign any stat points towards agility. And perception, I went until it's roughly 82%. And that's it. Everything else, it went straight to attack. And guys, this is super important that you know. Probably you're asking yourself, yo RoKage, but how then we're gonna increase that critical hit rate and critical hit damage? Well, you can clearly see I didn't give not a single assigned stat point towards agility, but if I go here, you can clearly see I have 42.22% chance of critical hit rate. And I will explain how I done it and on what things I was focused on. Now, achieving that won't be easy, and at the same time you'll need the RNG. It took me a freaking long time to acquire the proper artifacts so I can properly increase my critical hit rate and critical hit damage without applying stat points. So that truly will be the knowledge of the game, but as well RNG, because you will need RNG when you're playing dungeons and instances where you're gonna acquire artifacts. So as you can see, my critical hit damage is 164.88%. I definitely need to increase it even further more, but I will show you everything and explain. So with the artifacts, with the weapons as well, you're gonna increase that critical hit rate and critical hit damage. Now, for the artifacts and the assigned stat points, if you're using them, it will say the result right here. But another percentage from for the critical hit rate and critical hit damage you are getting as well from the SSR and other weapons that has a passive of increasing your critical hit rate and critical hit damage. So in my case, I didn't even went to 50% because I wanted to acquire as much as possible attack at the same time. And of course, critical hit damage is super important. The attack is the most important stat for the Sung, but that attack cannot prosper if you don't have the critical hit rate and critical hit damage. So attack is the most important thing, but at the same time that critical hit rate and damage from the artifacts is extremely important for the characters that are doing DPS. Not only Sung, but for the others. So if I go now into artifacts, this is where I am getting the critical hit rate and critical damage. For example, this right here. Still, after so many grinding, this is the best artifact that I can get for the Sung right here. Even though I grinded many of them, but still this is the best one. I would prefer, guys, if you can get like attack, additional attack percentage, critical hit rate up, and the critical damage, that would be like the most god tier artifact that you can get. But still I choose this one because it's the main stat is attack percentage, and it's a lot, 16.9%. Now the second one, I get the critical hit rate, so 1415. That will go into the final numbers that I showed you about the Sung stats. So here you're acquiring those additional critical hit rates and critical hit damage, and then you don't need to assign points to it. You can only go for precision and attack. Here as well, I get the additional attack, I have the critical hit rate, 1436, I'm fine. And then this one right here, I have the critical hit damage, guys, which is 2875 from this. And as well, I have the attack percentage and additional attack. That is like, even though these ones are legendaries, this one is like the most god tier that I have for the Sung, or any type of user that needs that critical hit damage, etc. Here on the right side, again, main focus is now, since I have here the attack percentage, I got here as well some additional attacks. Here I have additional attack percentage. Now I want to squeeze as much as possible critical hit damage as well with the critical hit rates, depending on what gear you have. So here I have critical hit damage +2, 2441. That's perfect. Then another critical hit damage and additional attack and attack percentage. Beautiful. And then here attack percentage. Like I'm missing now. For example, I want to increase my critical hit damage. I'm trying to find, oh, this one, for example. This one could be a nice replacement to add here, but at the end of the day, still attack percentage is so important, and it's the main stat. So even though I can now increase my critical hit damage, I still find my attack being really effective, since I already have a nice, pretty solid critical hit rate and critical hit damage. So you need to pay attention on those details. You really need to pay attention to those details. So even though sometimes you need that critical hit damage, but without proper attack, that critical hit damage won't be too big. As well, if you have too low attack, you will just have a lower amount of damage crits. That's why you need to also focus on that attack part first, so then you can acquire that substats, possibly even main stats, like it happened in my case for increasing that critical hit damage. So it's connected. It's connected between each other. Again, here this is a nice substitution I could do, but still no. Oh, here is the main stat here, attack percentage. Now I need to level it up and see. Still, overall it says minus 2.12%. But here I get additional attack. Yeah, here if I had the attack percentage on the top, or even additional attack, I might consider taking this. Because like this, I will get additional critical hit damage, which I have around 17k attack, which is really good. So, oh, this is nice. For example, this is nice. This is something that I could now equip and then fully level up and see the difference, but I'm not sure can I do that. Critical hit damage, let me see, do I have any... I don't remember, do I have any enhancement material for the gears number 2, level 2, whatever you want to call it. Still, I will try now, and you're gonna see that even though, yeah, unfortunately the main stat additional HP, you know, that's pretty random. If I got the critical hit damage increase or attack, that would be the gear for me. But now I still keeping the same setup I have. So you really need to think about those situations to enhance your attack additionally as much as possible, but at the same time you will need that critical hit rate stats, substats, and critical hit damage stats. So as well, you need to watch out about stats, right? There is that another thing. So here, not only I'm getting from the substats pretty decent amount of critical hit rate and attack and critical hit damage, although it's not even close to the perfection I want it to be. I'm just having terrible luck with artifacts. I cannot even explain that, but at least with the summons I'm pretty lucky. So here I'm also getting the user's critical hit rate increases by 8%, and as well the user's critical hit damage increases by 32%. So here now, when critical hit damage is working, this is the perfection for the Sung. And with the substats and with correct critical rate up, which is as much as possible you can, the 50% is a cap, but you can go up to 100%. Okay, you can do that. Because you will also get for the set from the set effects, you will also get from the weapons. I'll explain everything about that. So here I'm getting additional 8% critical hit rate. I'm already at more than 50%, and here the critical hit damage by 32%. So if I get really high critical damage here, that percentage actually go nuts. And that's why I think the toughness is the best left artifact for Sung. The right part is, in most of the time for the Sung, rarely you want... There is some other right artifacts that you can use, like this one, the Berserker, and you can even play around with Executioner. But definitely still, I think that Expert is the best artifact for the Sung, because when landing a critical hit, the user has a 25% chance to increase attack by 0.8%. That's why also getting that attack percentages and additional attack will make overall damage go completely insane. Also increase activation rate by 50%, attack increase effect to 1.6. So all of this is buffing his attack with more crits especially. That's why you need to have proper critical hit rate for the Sung, and then you're gonna truly prosper. Skills, you have a detailed guide on my channel about the skills. I already made it, so I won't repeat it now. But for the weapons, like I already said, you have here the Sung stats. I'm now at 42.22%, so I get additional 8% from the set effect, and as well in the fights, increase the user's critical hit rate by 25%. Okay, here I'm getting more critical hit rate. As well, Demon Plum Flower Sword does a lot as well. Increase critical hit damage, critical hit rate, attack, skill damage. Look, increase the chance of the user landing a critical hit on the next attack by 32%. So even with this type of combination of weapons, I'm getting insane critical rate ups. So even though I'm not yet at 50% from the stats itself, I still got so much from this, from the shadows as well. So for the Igris, so for me, it was fine to get that 42% chance. Everything else I got from the weapons and set effects and many other ways, right? And I focus mostly on attack, and that critical hit damage needs to be still improved. I know that, but that's the best gears I currently have, so I can develop it like this. As well, in some fights, especially when it's time related, so you do it as fast as possible, you don't have to bother so much about the set effects as well. So you can just like go and be like, okay, critical hit rate, that's perfect, let me take this. Then you go for the next one, and try to find the artifacts that gives you maybe everything, and attack, and the crit damage. You know, it's possible maybe after doing this for so long, for a really long time, you have some artifact that can give you that instant insane boost in the beginning, so you can destroy it really fast, which is time related. So sometimes you don't have to worry about the set effects, but in most of the time you want to worry about that. It just depends. For now I'm pretty happy, like this is really nice. But as you can see, my gears, bro, everything is freaking HP. This is pretty nice. Attack percentage, critical hit rate, this is nice. But most of it, it's healing, HP. I don't see not a single artifact that I have which gives you like... Except I have that artifact on the Sung, which gives a lot. From the critical hit rate and the attack percentage and additional attack, that's pretty broken. So you can find this type of gears. Let me just find it. Like this one. And you absolutely love it. Like when you get this type of stuff and you don't even need to worry about the set effects if you need to maximize that attack, critical hit damage and all that craziness. Okay, have that in mind. Sometimes set effects you don't have to bother if you want to finish really quickly. Sometimes it won't work. Overall, it's better to build it like this properly with the set effects, but just so you know, sometimes you can play around with this type of stuff. Okay guys, hopefully you did enjoy the video. Hopefully it was helpful. I tried to show you that a little bit different guide in a way to show you what things you should stop, in which ways I become much stronger, but by not leveling up the agility part, okay? Because you can do this type of stuff with the right artifacts, so you can be more focused on attack, and with bigger attack, overall the critical hit rate and the critical hit damage will prosper. Okay, that's that. Love ya, and yeah, see you next one. Bye.